Hey, welcome into a live Locked On Pistons squad show. The squad is back. Jake Riepma, Khahil, and Lindsey Hunter. If you're new around here, it's the Locked On Pistons squad show. And fellas, I'll kick it to you first. We've got 2 games to recap, and the Pistons ride a little 3-game win streak.
Yeah, win streak, and we finally get to see Isaiah Stewart return. It feels like it's been forever, but he's finally back.
Absolutely, he'll be welcomed with open arms, and we've missed Stu, and we need his tenacious and toughness.
This is Locked On's Pistons Squad Show, the twice-a-week show where Pistons talk gets real. No filters, no fluff, just raw takes, sharp opinions, and straight-up passion for the game. The way only Locked On Podcast Network knows how. Let's drop some dimes and squad up. The Pistons Squad Show starts now.
And here we go. Good to be with you on a Tuesday afternoon. Locked On Pistons squad show. Jake Riepma with you from Locked On Detroit. Khahil, Locked On Pistons, and the 2-time NBA champion, Lindsey Hunter with us. Fellas, great to be on the air with you. What a show we've got. The Pistons on a 3-game win streak. Isaiah Stewart back tonight. Pistons, Cavs in Cleveland this time, and we will touch on it all. I want to thank you for joining this program on the #1 sports podcast platform, the Locked On Podcast Network. Fire up that comment section, fellas. I'm already seeing the comments going. That means they are ready to go. We've already got a bunch of people joining because people are ready to talk some ball. And Lindsey, both you guys, that's what we do on the Locked On Squad show, especially with the Pistons playing a good brand of basketball right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see the Pistons get back in a win streak after that loss to the San Antonio Spurs. Looking forward to see how they play against the Cavs tonight. Hopefully, at least James Harden plays. I know Donovan Mitchell, I'm sure we're going to talk about it, is out tonight. I'd like to see at least one of them play so we can see some kind of semblance of the real Cavs team and see how the Pistons match up against them. But the Pistons are riding a good streak right now.
Absolutely. I think the Pistons we've watched them play these last 3 games, and it's been an adjustment without Stu. You can tell there's been some differences, and you can tell the guys have kind of made those adjustments. We kind of struggled through games where guys were shorthanded, but the Pistons fought through and found a way to win them. And I do want to see them play against teams that are full strength, but we can't control that. We just got to get the dub.
No, yeah, exactly. It feels like night after night, at least the other night, Sunday night in Orlando, you saw, some of the stars for the opposition on the floor, and the Pistons make some really good halftime adjustments. And let's start there and roundtable this one out, because at first, opening half, whatever it may be, Banchero getting to the free throw line with ease at will, and the Pistons struggling from beyond the arc, struggling mightily from beyond the arc. That was really the tale of that first half. And then, Lindsey, it felt like they flipped a switch. I know it's not always that easy, but the right things were said at halftime to be a totally different team in that second half.
Yeah, the biggest concern I think a lot of people have, I'm not so much concerned about it. The Pistons have shot, 21% from the point line the last 4 games. I think they're like 26 of 120 or something like that, something horrid. And I know that's alarming for a lot of people, but it doesn't really bother me because I love the way the Pistons score. We don't rely on the 3 ball as much as other teams do in this 3-point wild west that the NBA has become. With Duren dominating the way he has in the paint and the way Cade can score on all 3 levels, I don't really worry about the 3 ball as much as everybody else does. So watching them overcome that and still be able to win games is encouraging to me.
Yeah, I thought the way they played against the Orlando Magic, I'm sure we'll talk about the shooting a little bit more, but the fact that they were, nonetheless, there's a positive. I said this on the podcast, there's a positive and a negative way to look at it. The positive way to look at it is you shot under 20% from 3. You shot 1 of 18 from 3 in the first half, missed your first 15 3-point attempts, and beat a team by double digits. Like, that doesn't happen in 2026. That doesn't happen in the last 10 years. Like, you don't see teams do that.
No.
Shoot that bad. Not win by a few, not scrape it out. You just dominate. Like, you won by 14 points in this game. So being able to do that does speak to what Lindsey's talking about, that the Pistons aren't reliant upon the 3 ball, and they can still win games when they're not hitting threes. I've said this multiple times before, that when the Pistons hit threes, they'll probably beat you by 20, 30 plus. That's what happened against the Knicks. They hit a few threes against the Knicks. Now their offense is really going, and you just can't. You're not going to beat them. They're going to stop you from scoring. And if they're really getting it going offensively, you're just cooked. If they can't shoot threes that night, maybe they lose, but also maybe they still beat you. Like whenever they're actually hitting shots, they're unbeatable. And they've proven that even when they're not hitting shots, they can still take you down. So what they were able to prove against Orlando, the positive way of looking at it is, even without being able to shoot or make shots, we were able to just take advantage and completely dominate the Magic.
Right.
No,
yeah, I think watching them play that way is, I mean, it's a negative that you can't shoot threes away, but because this is a shot-happy league, but I'm encouraged because I think they're depending on defense. And we saw the adjustment made at halftime. Lanes were closed off a little more. Guys were into the ball more. There was no space. Guys weren't getting loose like they were the first half. So the adjustment, I think, for the Pistons after the first half was defensively, we're going to be more intense. We're going to be more intentional. We're going to be more into the basketball. We're not going to let them get to spaces, make them catch it a little further out, not give up driving lanes. And I think that was a big difference.
Yeah, I saw this adjustment at halftime too, that I spoke about this a little bit on Twitter while the game was going on, is that in the first half, it seems like to me that JB Bickerstaff and Ausar Thompson were allowing him to kind of test playing a different player than he usually guards. He usually guards smaller guys on the perimeter, tries to cut off the point of attack. And recently, I think Ausar, like last week in an interview or something, spoke about how he thinks he needs to get better guarding bigger guys, and he'd like to get that test and kind of learn through it. Now, in this game, he tried to guard Paolo in the first half, and Asar's never been his strength is not guarding guys much bigger and stronger than him. His strength is, I can cut you off, I can beat you to the spot, I'm super quick, I'm lengthy, I'm athletic. He can use that to leverage himself against other guys that are stronger than him and bigger than him. Those he can get overpowered by those guys. And Paolo was doing that in the first half. And a lot of that was why he got to the free throw line so many times. Ausar got into foul trouble in the first half a ton. And then at halftime, they switched the matchup. They put Tobias back on Paolo Banchero. They put Ausar on one of the guards in the wings. Even Cade got to guard Paolo quite a bit in the second half as well. And like Lindsey said, they changed up their defensive strategy where they stopped setting two at times to Paolo. They let Paolo kind of just play one-on-one. We're not going to show you too many bodies that open up passing lanes. And you saw Paolo just couldn't get anything going in the second half. I think he only scored like 4 or 6 points in the second half. The Pistons only allowed 17 in the third, 18 in the fourth. So I thought that was a really good adjustment. To me, it felt very clearly that JB and Ausar were allowing themselves to just, hey, here's a test. Let's see how you can do against this. It wasn't going well. At halftime, they switched the matchup back up. Ausar got to play more in the second half. Cade and Tobias did a much better job on Paolo, and the Pistons were able to shut down their offense.
Absolutely.
No, I love it. And some of those adjustments that you saw, getting back to when this team is at their best, and the way my mind works, I'm always constantly thinking, all right, how does this correlate and translate into the future version and the best version of the Detroit Pistons? And I think that starts to establish a little bit of a blueprint moving forward when you get into the postseason. You have those types of matchups, just knowing what each and every individual on that Pistons roster brings to the table as far as what's going to help you maximize that roster and maximize it to the point of getting the most efficient output from each and every guy out there. But I don't remember if it was Lindsey or Khahil that said it. I think you both touched on it, but just the play of Tobias Harris. And a lot of it was on the defensive end, hit some big shots down the stretch. And JB Bickerstaff after the game said he's the safety blanket. And I think the chemistry of the roster has been discussed at great length of how you've got a bunch of young, hungry guys, and then you've got the young. You got Tobias Harris on the roster and what he brings to this team. Lindsey, I'll go to you first. It just feels like that is one of those things that this front office deserves a lot of credit for, because it's hard to predict how guys will gel together. But the proof is out there in a season that has gone so swimmingly for the Pistons that this group gels particularly well with Tobias in the role that he's had.
Absolutely. And I think it's a carryover from last year. We saw that. We saw how these guys got along. We saw how they have each other's back on the court. And Tobias is a perfect glue guy. He's a great guy on and off the court. They respect him. And I think the Pistons are going to need a lot more from him. I think he has to be more involved offensively, because I think when you get him going, it makes it easier for everybody else. It makes it easier for Duren. It opens up more, spaces for them, because he also can post. I think we got to utilize him more in the post on smaller defenders. So he is a vital part to this team's success. And going forward, he's going to be very vital. Defensively, he does what he's supposed to do, and I just think the more we can get him involved and the more of a role that he has, the better off the Pistons will be.
Yeah, Tobias has been – I don't think this year has been as good as he was last year, but he's still been very effective, especially in the positions that Lindsey's brought up. Like as a post-up player, going to get a little nerdy here. When you look at all the post-ups on the year, he's in the 81st percentile this year, which is just simply saying he's been very, very good in the post-ups. He's one of the best in the league when he's posting up. He's scoring 1.17 points per possession again, which just simply means he's been very efficient. He's been very good when he's posted up. And a lot of that has to do with the fact, like Lindsey mentioned, when he gets smaller defenders on him, it seems like it's just an automatic bucket every single time. We've seen teams that are like maybe a little bigger than the Pistons where they don't give up that mismatch. It's a little bit harder for Tobias to get it going because they do a better job of not conceding that mismatch. But anytime the Pistons can get that mismatch with Tobias, it seems like it's a really automatic bucket. And to go to what JB said about him being a safety blanket, his ability to have that kind of guaranteed post up to where you can run a pick and roll with him and Cade, get Cade's defender stuck on Tobias, and then have it be like a late shot clock situation where, okay, this action didn't work. We got to the weak side. This action didn't work. What can we go to? Late shot clock. Just give it to Tobias in the post. Let him get a quick shot up for us against a mismatch. It really bails him out at times. I think even more so where his impact is even more felt. You've started to see JB change his rotation a little bit where you see Tobias, and I'm sure part of this has to do with Stu not playing and they needing to change it, but he's brought Tobias out first. He gets Ron Holland in, and then he has Tobias get back in with the bench unit late in the first quarter, let him play into the second quarter. And I think the reason why he does that is the bench unit has a lot of defense, a lot of dogs, a lot of guys that will go after you, but they need a little bit of offense, some security on the offensive end of the floor. If you can get Tobias in there, you can slow the game down the half court and just feed Tobias in the post and try and get those mismatches. That kind of style probably even suits the bench unit even more so than maybe even the starters, especially a unit that struggles to score at times like the bench unit does in the half court. So I think JB's utilizing him fine. I think he's utilizing him in a unique way. And I think Tobias definitely is a safety blanket. And when he has games like this, I think the Pistons will win them 99% of the time.
Absolutely.
I love it. Locked On Pistons Squad Show. If you're just joining us live, we're getting close to 100 live viewers. We appreciate that. The audio version of today's show available right there on Locked On Pistons, wherever you get your podcast. And fellas, let's wrap up this first segment with a little Jalen Duren discussion, recently named the Eastern Conference Player of the Week. You love to see those accolades and the recognition for his incredible play on the court. But let's tie it in with a question from the audience. We'll get the audience involved here on a Tuesday. It's not just us talking. It's an interactive program here. But Braylon Dennis wants to know, question for the panel: do you think Jalen Duren gets that super max contract? I'll be brief. I think his play has certainly been indicative of that as of late, but I would love to hear what both of you guys have to say with that question, and we appreciate that from Braylon Dennis. Shout out to him.
Go ahead, Lindsey.
A great question. That remains to be seen. I know he's going to get a lot of money. He's going to get a lot of money. But I think, personally, I think he'll probably do something that'll help the team a little more. I don't think he'll probably try to eat up all of a super max contract, but he's going to get a lot of money. Like, mind you, he's one of the few centers in this league that have proven themselves to be a dominant, reliable source. And you can put him along with Joker and Embiid. Like, those are high-quality guys, and I think Duren is catching them really fast. So he deserves whatever he gets. I think they'll do him right, and I don't think he'll try to go for the super max. I think they'll max him out and give him a great contract. But I think he'll do something team friendly where we still can maybe sign a free agent or do something creative in the future.
Yeah. So the super max that I think Braylon's talking about, if I'm correct, he won't be eligible for the Supermax. I'm assuming when you say Supermax, you're talking about the Supermax that Cade also got. There's a difference between the max contract and the Supermax. So in order for Jalen Duren to qualify for the Supermax, he would have to make one of the All-NBA teams. And maybe he does.
He's going to be close.
I was going to say, he's getting close. Earlier in the year, I was like, oh, he's going to be an All-Star this year. It's been great, but I don't know about All-NBA team. He's trying to make that late push to make one of the All-NBA teams. So if he makes All-NBA team, then the number goes up a lot. I believe the number is around 30 to 33% of the cap is what you can offer, somewhere around there, if he gets the Supermax, which would be a lot of money. As of right now, without making an All-NBA team, it would be around $41.5 million in the first year, and it would be like a 5-year contract for $240 million. That would be the max the Pistons can offer him. I believe that's around 25% of the cap. I'm interested to see if he doesn't make the All-NBA team. I'll be interested to see, does he just take the full 5-year 240, or like Lindsey said, do we see something similar to how Houston got Sengun on a contract the other year? Now, he got a lot of money, but he didn't get the absolute peak. I think they got him for about like $5 to $7 million less per year than they could have signed him for. And a lot of people thought that was a really good deal from Houston. So I think he's definitely, he's getting signed this offseason. As soon as the offseason comes around, they're signing him. So like it's just a matter of what does the number actually look like. If he makes All-NBA, we could be looking at a pretty crazy number, and he deserves it. If he makes All-NBA, he deserves it.
Right. No doubt. I think I liked what Lindsey said. The Pistons will do right by him for sure, and that just speaks to the new regime in the front office and top on bottom to the entire organization. But fellas, Isaiah Stewart, he is coming back tonight. The return of Beef Stew, what it all means, is next. Don't go anywhere. It's alive. Locked On Pistons. Look at that. Doing too many shows with Locked On. That's gonna happen. That's gonna happen 1 or 2 or 3 more times. It's a Locked On Pistons live squad show right here on Locked On Pistons. Hey, today's show is brought to you by Indeed. Workplace chaos, the deadlines, they're stacking up. Your inbox is overflowing. And the one position you have to fill, it's still sitting wide open. When the pressure's on, you need the right hire. And that is a job for Sponsored Jobs, Indeed Sponsored Jobs. That's the platform that helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. The skills, the experience, the location, all of it is so important. And Indeed helps you maximize it, so you're not just hoping the right candidate just stumbles across your post. In fact, here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Less stress, less time, more results. And when you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help your job get the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast, Indeed.com/podcast. Right now, go right there, right now to Indeed.com/podcast. Let them know you heard about it on the Locked On Pistons live squad show. That's right, Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. If you need to hire, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. All right, make sure you check out the Everydayer Club. Of course, Ku does such a fantastic job with that. You get ad-free audio. We'll put the link in the description. You don't want to miss. It's the Everydayer Club on the #1 podcast platform, the Locked On Podcast Network. Guys, a night I think every Piston fan has been anxiously anticipating. At times it felt like, okay, this 7-game suspension can end anytime. And then on the other side of the coin, I think back, it feels like that little dust up in Charlotte just seemed like it was the other night. But here we are, Isaiah Stewart coming back. Lindsey, I'll go to you first, man. Just the boost in morale that goes without saying, the lift that he's going to provide, the flexibility he provides to the lineup and everything else. It's just, I mean, there's nothing bad about Isaiah Stewart coming back.
Absolutely not. I think, seeing them play without him, you can see the stability that he brings, and you can see that there is a missing part right now by just watching how we played against San Antonio, and even how we kind of struggled against OKC without their star players. Stu stabilizes a lot of that defensively and intense wise, and I think that's the biggest thing about him. He does a lot of intangibles that don't show up in the stat sheet, but they show up for the team, and guys recognize that. And Stu is a pretty good 3-point shooter as well. he can knock down a couple of threes. So I'm excited about him being back. I love the edginess that he brings to our team, and hopefully he can keep walking that fine line and not get another suspension, because we don't need that right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're obviously going to be excited to bring back Stu. I want to give a big shout out to Paul Reed, because I thought Paul Reed played well in the opportunity. Go ahead, Lindsey.
Yeah, Paul Reed is an unsung hero. I think he could be a backup center on any team in this league just about, and produce and play well. And that's what I think this Piston team represents to me, is because every guy that's called upon steps up and they do their job. And when you have a team that's as deep as that, that's why I'm favoring the Pistons to come out of the East, because of that depth and how professional that every guy seems to be.
Yeah, I agree with you. I wanted to give that shout out to Paul Reed. I think he did exactly what you said. He absolutely showed up, took advantage of the opportunity that was in front of him. And I've said for a while, I completely agree. He could be a backup big on a lot of NBA teams. The fact that the Pistons got him on the contract that they did to be a third string big is it's one of the better value contracts that you could get. So Paul Reed did a great job in his absence, but Isaiah Stewart is very important to what the Pistons do. He is a defensive playmaker. He's one of the best rim protectors in the entire NBA. He's very physical. He brings that physicality and that edge to the Pistons. They desperately need and want from him. So they're going to love to have him back in this game against the Cavs team that also plays two bigs in Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. I'm sure they're going to want to utilize him against that. I won't be shocked if we get to see Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart on the floor a little bit in this game. But I'm sure the Pistons are very excited to finally have Stu back.
No doubt. And one of the, you're just kind of tossing ideas around, thinking about, okay, what does it mean for the entire lineup when you got a guy like Isaiah Stewart coming back? And do you think, Lindsey and Q, just kind of both your thoughts, Lindsey, I'll start with you, that Isaiah Stewart will be on any kind of minute restriction, or is it just full go? It wasn't like it was a super long layoff that he was out of action, but at the same time, 7 games is still 7 games.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be restricted in any way, shape, or form. I think he'll be thrusted right back into action. This is the end of the season. This is the stretch run for a lot of teams in this league, and this is the time you start fine tuning. This is the time you see, especially teams you may face in the playoffs. There's certain matchups you want to see how it works. You want to see how you can tweak certain things, and that's the time of the year it is. And Stu is a vital part of that. So I don't see any restrictions with him. I think he'll be back to normal, back to his natural rotation, and hopefully they can get it going and he can gel as soon as possible and get back to the way we were playing.
Yeah, Stu is only averaging 23 minutes on the season. I don't think that he'd be on any restriction. He comes off the bench. He rarely plays high minutes. Really, anybody on the Pistons rarely plays high minutes. So I don't think that he'll be on any kind of restriction. If he plays 20 minutes or so, I think that would probably just be what they want him to play anyway. So I don't think he'll be on any restriction. I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, and looking at this matchup, I mean, we don't have to go back too far. The last time these two teams got together, I still can hear the horn going off from.
Oh my God!
Cool. Were you there? Or
no, I didn't go to that. That game, I had that I was at my old high school supporting my old varsity coach, but I had the game on my phone and my earphones while I was watching the game, and I had to turn it off. I was like, all right, I'll come back in like 10 to 15 minutes, dude. Like I'm not doing this.
It was such a wonky game where just the craziest things were happening, and it's been a couple of days now, but I was just thinking back to, like, of course that happens, but you turn the page quick, you look at this matchup, and Ku, you touched on it with some guys that might be out, but Lindsey, I'll go to you first, just kind of looking at the way this one stacks up and an opportunity for the Pistons to keep the win streak going.
Absolutely. This is a team that, 2 years ago, everybody was touting them as the best team in the East. The Pistons have kind of taken that from them. And, you want to keep your foot on the gas at this point. In regards to who you playing and who's out, who's in, you're fine-tuning. You're trying to get ready for a long playoff run. And I think that's the mindset that the Pistons have. And that's the mindset you have to have, especially these are called the dog days of the NBA. At the end of the season, guys are banged up. Everybody's banged up. Nobody's healthy right now. So now you just want to keep fine-tuning, playing with your matchups, playing with your rotations, seeing what's going to work, what's not going to work. Because, a lot of times that bench gets a little shortened in the playoffs. I was fortunate to play for teams that we were deep. We played 9-10 guys in the playoffs. I think this Piston team can do that as well. And I hope they do, because I think they have a lot of guys that can contribute. And I would love to see us keep the defensive pressure up on other teams and just wear them down.
Yeah, I've been saying this for the last week or so. I really just want to see the Pistons. They can't help who's in front of them. They can't help if a guy sits out. They can't help if a guy's injured. I'm just really looking for. That's why I loved watching the Spurs game so much in that first half, because it felt like two teams, full strength, two very good teams going at each other, both teams playing really good basketball, trying to figure each other out. Right. And again, removing yourself from a Pistons perspective, just as a basketball fan, it was one of the most fun times I've had watching a Pistons half this year, because you could see it was just two high-level teams trying to figure each other out and play, and they were both playing really well. So it was a lot of fun to watch, which is why I've been disappointed by these teams. And I'm not saying these teams are just – I get why Mitchell is sitting. He's dealing with the quad. And they have a 4-day layoff after this. Might as well get them fully rested until next week. So I get why they're doing it. But it just, for me, it just disappoints me. My goodness, can I speak? Disappoints me a little bit that we haven't seen these teams at full strength just yet. With that said, like Lindsey mentioned, the Pistons can't help who's in front of them. Keep going out there and playing well. I'd hope that they play a little bit better than they did in this last matchup against the Cavs. That took a little bit of a miracle at the end of the game to pull that one out. Yeah. Let's hope it doesn't take many miracles to pull out a team pull out a win against a team that's a little bit shorthanded. But we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to seeing tonight's game. I hope Harden plays so we can see how the Pistons attack that pick and roll with him and Allen as well.
For sure. Yeah, that was wild. The 3 free throws down the stretch like that. And he knocked him down. Great clutch gene there. And then, Khahil, to your point with the Pistons Spurs, they are right back at it in San Antonio. And I believe, let me check. I believe that game is on Thursday. It is. So our next show will be on Thursday. So we'll have a nice deep dive preview on that one as well. As we wrap up this segment, I know the big storyline is Isaiah Stewart coming back. What that means, that's going to dominate the headlines. Pistons on the road, that adds, we've talked about the advantage of playing at LCA. That adds one more element to it. But just, when you kick back and watch tonight, the first thing that's going to draw your attention for this Pistons Cavs matchup.
Go ahead, Lindsey.
Well, I think the biggest thing, like watching the Pistons play teams that are undermanned, it's human nature to have a kind of a relaxed mindset going into it. I've been in those situations, and you're almost fighting against yourself as a team.
Right.
You're fighting, you're not really playing against, those particular guys. You're playing against a team regardless to who's playing. And I know their stars have been sitting, and, we've kind of had a lackluster performances. Hopefully we can get past that and just play our brand of basketball and forget about who's playing and who's not playing. Let's work on our execution. Let's work on the things that we're going to need to move forward. And that's the mindset I think that we have to have. And hopefully they come out that way.
Yeah, even without Mitchell, and if Harden doesn't play, even without both of them, they didn't play in the last game, but Jared Allen and Evan Mobley still had incredible games against the Pistons. So, And a lot of people have said that a lot of Jared Allen's offense just comes from, he's seen this big spike because he's playing with Harden now, and Harden's feasting him a lot of buckets. They didn't have either of those guards, and Jared Allen still led them in scoring. He had a fantastic game, 25 points and 10 to 12 shooting. So even if those two don't play, something to watch for in tonight's game. With Stu back, do they do a better job at guarding Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, keeping them off the glass? Mobley had a rare night shooting really well from deep in this game. He shot 4 of 8 in their last matchup. I'm going to assume that he doesn't shoot that well again. But nonetheless, can Stu and Duren do a better? Stu wasn't there last game, but can they do a better job than they did last time at trying to really shut off Jared Allen and Evan Mobley from dominating a game? Because they were a problem for the first 4 quarters until the Pistons got to OT and ended up closing it out. Let's see if Jalen Duren. I mentioned last time we talked. I thought that Jalen Duren did a better job as the game went on against the Cavs team. Actually, I think I might have said that on the podcast.
Yes.
He did a better job defensively as the game went on, especially towards the end. The last fourth quarter at the end and overtime, he had some of the best defensive reps I've seen from him. If you made like a defensive highlight mixtape of just like Duren's best reps, some of his best reps in the pick and roll as a weak side rim protector, all that stuff I thought happened in the fourth quarter and the overtime. So hopefully he can bring some of that energy and some of that execution throughout the entire game here against Jared Allen, kind of take him out of his momentum that he has going here.
For sure. I'm going to keep it simple. I want to see the Pistons shoot better. I mean, it just like, let's just, put my mind at ease. And I hate to empower some of the national talking heads. Oh, the Pistons can't shoot. Let's just go out there and have a good night shooting. And Khahil and Lindsey, I think you said it too. When the Pistons make shots, you can see a margin of victory that expands to 20, 30 points. So I'm not asking for too much. Just, go out and win on the road by 20, 30 points against a good Cavs team. That's all. But we'll keep it rolling here. I appreciate all the comments that are coming in. We'll do a little Q&A as well. We got plenty of time for that. That's the beauty of the live Locked On Pistons Squad Show. We'll keep the lights on, pay a few bills, all that good stuff, and keep it rolling next on the Locked On Pistons Squad Show. Hey, but first, excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp, and March is a time to celebrate women, especially around International Women's Day, and to recognize just how much they carry at work, in relationships, and families, and in all the unseen roles they step into every single day. It's easy to celebrate that strength, but it's just as important to make space for the emotional well-being. And honestly, that goes for all of us. So your mom, sister, daughter, partner, best friend, all that. Use that bridge to connect and listen. In fact, it's important to do so to make sure you are on the same page. And the roles that we play differ for each and every person, but that same level of expectations, make sure you are there to talk about it. Therapy can help with all of that, creating balance, setting healthy boundaries, and supporting overall well-being. With over 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 6 million people served worldwide, BetterHelp is the world's largest online therapy platform, and it works. Fill out a short questionnaire, get matched with a licensed therapist, and if it's not the right fit, no problem, switch at any time. Your emotional well-being matters. Find support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at BetterHelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. All right, we're powering through here on a Tuesday, knocking out all those ad reads, keeping the lights on, doing what we do on a live Locked On Pistons Squad Show. Jake Riepma, Lindsey Hunter, Khahil, and each and everyone that has taken some time out of their day to join us. We appreciate that. I want to give a special shout out here to my guy, Gary Myers, 8605. He hops on a lot of the post-game shows, Tigers, Pistons, whatever it is. And he's got a question for us. Which teams do you see as a problem for the Pistons in the playoffs? A very timely question with Jason Tatum coming back. So I'll start there. I've been wildly impressed with what the Boston Celtics have done without Jason Tatum. And obviously throwing him into the mix certainly makes the Celtics a part of the conversation. But let's see a few data points. Let's see a few examples of what this Celtics team looks like. And that being said, some of the momentum that you get from a star player coming back to the lineup is just like the Pistons are going to feel tonight with Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Lindsey.
I think, Jake and Khahil, I don't feel the same way about Tatum coming back because of the nature of the injury. And personally, I wouldn't want him to see him come back this soon. It's going to take a lot. He hasn't played, and it's one thing to practice. It's one thing to condition yourself. But coming back from an Achilles and trying to jump into the thick of things right at the end of the season when everybody's really pushing forward, that's going to be tough. And he's a great player. He's an MVP caliber player. So I just wonder psychologically, how is he going to deal with not being able to be the Jason Tatum that we're accustomed to and fitting into a team that's really thriving with Jalen Brown, who is my second in MVP. I think Cade's one. I think Jalen's two. It's going to be tough for him. Boston's going to be tough regardless, with or without him. Boston's going to be tough. They're well coached, and the guys that they have are really playing well. So there won't be any easy outs in the playoffs. I don't think people can forget about that.
Yeah, Boston is a good choice. Jason Tatum, I'm interested to see how he looks. It sounds like he might be coming back this week, so I'm going to be definitely watching how he looks when he does come back. I am a little skeptical. I'm make it clear, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to claim that I am. However, I also have some kind of skepticism that I wouldn't want to come back this fast, and I am a little worried about him coming back this fast. Now, obviously, if the doctors say he's fine and can play, I'm not a doctor, but just from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, you maybe should take a little bit more time, just, whatever. But if he does come back and he looks anything like Jason Tatum, looks 80%, 70% of Jason Tatum, that's probably better than some of the rotation guys they have playing on the wing. So how much does he add to the team? Is he able to fit in, like Lindsey said, to how they're playing now without him if he's not at full strength? How does he fit into that? I'm going to be interested to watch that. Boston is a really good team. They've had a very good season. At the end of the day, the simplest way to describe Boston, they play the math game. They get up a ton of threes. They're going to make enough threes, and they think they're going to win. And most nights, they've been right. They are a very good defensive team, but they also get up a lot of threes, and they make a lot of threes, and it's worked. Joe Mazzulla is great. Brad Stevens is great. Jaylen Brown, Derek White, they've had great seasons. So Boston is definitely a worthy consideration. My answer to who I think the Pistons should be watching the most, or I guess who gives the most threat to the Detroit Pistons, I am going to go with the Cavs. I think the Cavs have something that the other teams in the East don't have in a matchup against the Pistons. The New York Knicks, they have one real lead initiator, one real playmaker, one real on-ball guy that you got to worry about, and that's Jalen Brunson. And I think the Pistons have the best defender for Jalen Brunson in the league, in Osar Thompson, and I think that's part of the reason why they've struggled so much against the Pistons. I don't think they want to be as physical as the Pistons, and I think they have someone on their team that shuts down their one lone scorer and kind of creator, and it causes them issues. I think the same thing with Boston. The Pistons are 3-1, I believe, against Boston this year. It's kind of the same thing. You put Asar and Payne Pritchard, and you just live with Jaylen Brown playing one-on-one, and you don't believe he's going to beat you. Don't give up threes. Let him play one-on-one. He's averaged like 34, 35 against the Pistons, but they haven't been able to win because the Pistons also are kind of playing a math game against them. Like, hey, we don't believe that Jaylen Brown's going to hit enough of these mid-rangers, enough of these shots to beat us throughout 48 minutes as long as we don't give up a lot of threes. And it's worked out. The Cavs, as long as they're healthy, they're the only real team I look at to say they have two guys that can break you down in Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. They have two guys that can score for themselves. They have two guys who can get to the paint and make the right decisions, to make the right reads as a playmaker. And they have two guys that can run pick and rolls and make the right reads. So, and on top of that, they do have two big guys that we saw play a really good game now without Isaiah Stewart. We'll see how it looks now tonight. But they have two big guys that can try to match the Pistons' physicality, try to match the dominance in the paint defensively and on the glass. So I think the Cavs, out of all the teams, have more of it feels like more of like a roster, like if you just looked on paper, have more of like an answer to some of the Pistons' strengths. Now I know the Pistons 100% should, and they do feel like there's not one team in the NBA that can match the physicality, how much they dominate on the glass and defense, all that stuff. But I think if there's one team that can try to match it in the paint and also have two guys to kind of attack them from the perimeter, it is the Cavs. So, and I know James Harden has some playoff, it's his playoff struggles have been talked about a lot. But at the end of the day, these are two great guards. Those are the guys that I would be watching for the most if I was Pistons fans.
For sure. And we know it's all about matchups, and that will continue to play out here. Time for a couple more questions because, one, I'm fascinated by these, and two, I appreciate everybody's participation. Shout out to our guy here, David DQZZ, all the way from Seattle, has a question for Lindsey. Do you ever see any resemblance with JD or Isaiah to Ben Wallace? I think you're the only one qualified to answer this question.
Well, we all watch these guys play. We watched Ben in the past, and there's always some things that you see and go, wow, Ben Wallace used to do that. The difference is, Ben was an anomaly. Like, you won't see a 6'7" guy that could defend. I watched the guy guard Shaq without help. I've never seen anybody do that. Maybe Dennis Rodman, but to watch Ben Wallace defend the way he did, and some nights he was just electric. He could dominate a game without scoring. So those guys, there are things that they do well, like Ben Wallace. I don't think we'll ever see another Ben Wallace, but they look up to Ben, and I've been with Ben and talked to some of the guys, and they are really picking his mind to see defensively, what could I do to be better? How did you dominate games the way you did? And so I have a lot of respect for those young guys, because they're like sponges. They want to be great. They want to be, like the teams of the past, and you just have to respect them for that.
Lindsey, is Ben gonna approve of you calling him 6'7"? Is he gonna take offense to?
He's not. He knows he's 6'7".
I was gonna say, because they be saying he's 6'9". I've had questions myself, but maybe he's
6'9" when the fro is out. He's 6'9".
He don't got the fro no more, so fair enough. He dropped 2 inches.
Exactly.
Oh, that is hilarious. But I do think, to your point, Lindsey, you feel that with this team, that they are so hungry, so just open to doing everything it takes to be the best that they can be. And I remember when Cade got drafted, and there was just like such an awareness and understanding of the heritage of this franchise. And I don't know, admittedly, I'm not dialed into every other NBA team, but it feels like that's a unique characteristic of this team. And being one of those guys that laid the groundwork and was a part of the foundation of what this franchise is and what it means to wear a Pistons jersey, like that's got to make you proud and make you feel all kinds of emotions, right?
Absolutely. Watching this team become a form of what the past was, but in their own way, updated version, is always exciting for us, because our teams represent our city, and this team absolutely represents Detroit in a simpler way that the teams of the past have. And it's crazy to see the identity just form that way, and the guys really buy into playing their roles and being just a cohesive group, because a lot of teams in this league aren't as cohesive as the Pistons are, and I think that's a big advantage for us.
Yeah, I think part of what helps that as well, all the other stuff that you were talking about, Jake, absolutely true. But I think one of the things that helps along with it is the fact that the Pistons' past greats and their past legends are still involved with the franchise. Like IT is still involved in the franchise. Just a quick shout out, my brothers, I'm not going to say where, but my brothers see IT all the time at their job. Not like he comes almost every single day, and they constantly are texting me like, "Oh my God, just saw Isaiah, bro. He's so great. He's so cool." But they love it. But IT is involved with the franchise still. You see Ben around, has a role with the franchise. So I think having them a part of the franchise and around the team kind of helps some of these younger players that maybe didn't watch much of them, or maybe weren't around as much, be able to kind of understand that history and that culture, because the players that were from that era are still around helping the team and engaged with the team to this day.
For sure. And I saw where Rip Hamilton's son's going to Oakland University. I didn't even see that. Yeah, I have to make my way to the O-Arena and catch some Oakland Golden Grizzlies hoops back in the good old days. But yeah, I saw that on Twitter. I think Lindsey froze up on us, which is a good time to take a break. We'll take a quick break. We got one more segment on tap for you here on the live Locked On Pistons Squad Show. Don't go anywhere. We close it out next. Hey, today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night, from early tip-offs to late night West Coast shootouts. There's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want, whether you're into rivalry games, maybe some ranked matchups, or just the random West Coast game, whatever fits your bet line. You can mix spreads, totals, and player props and match how you see the slate playing out. You got to find the odds and look at it all on FanDuel. Don't forget to apply that profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. Go safe, or maybe you want to go bold. Ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your parlay, your style, and now with even more upside behind it. Head over to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. All right, back with you on the live Locked On Pistons squad show. We got Lindsey back, right? You can hear us okay now?
Yep, perfect.
All right. We just had a little listen, we've had a couple of minor technical difficulties, nothing major, just a quick little pivot. We take a 30-second timeout. We get the mini stools out. We talk about it and figure it out on the fly. Although the NBA, they don't use the mini stools. That's more of a college hoops thing, right?
Yeah, that's college.
Yeah, when I was announcing college hoops, that was always my cue. If the mini stools got brought up, I knew it was a full timeout. That means get your ass to commercials, Riepma. We got a full timeout here, and the mini stools were the dead giveaway for me. But all right, let's wrap her up here on the live Locked On Pistons squad show. A few more comments to mix in here from Doc Barber 7084. The fro height matters. That's right. Talking about Ben Wallace's afro to give him a couple of extra inches there. But Pistons, Cavs tonight. I know we did a deep dive on it, but to just get us out of here on a high note, Isaiah Stewart's coming back. That's what I'm looking for, and I'm looking for the Pistons to make a few more threes to put my mind at ease.
Yeah, Jay, I think they'll be energized by Stu's presence. I don't care about the threes. As long as we can dominate the paint and defensively play the way we've been playing and get back to being a dominant defensive team, I think we'll manufacture enough points. And that's the type of teams I've always played on. As teams, we would dominate you defensively, manufacture points. If we were shooting the ball well, we dominated you totally. So this Piston team reminds me of that. And I don't care about the threes. If they make them well, but let's let K play his game. Let's get Tobias going. Duren dominates the way he dominates, and Stu comes back in and be the defensive protector we need, and we'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Pistons to handle this one, especially if their guys are out. That's however you have to do it. I'm really if Harden also does not play, I really hope the Pistons are not having to fight for a miracle at the end of the game to try to pull this one out. I hope that they are locked in from the get-go and they're able to kind of not put it away, maybe not blow them completely out, but just be in control of the game throughout all of the quarters and not require some heroics at the end of the game against a team without all of its guys. So that's the main thing I'm watching for. Jake, I'd love to see the team shoot a little better too. Not asking for 23, not asking for, but can we get a little better than 13%? Just can we get a little more than that?
They've been 21% over the last 4.
Yeah, see?
Thank you. That comforts you a little better.
So if they can just get, you know what? I'll take 21% in this game. It was an improvement over the 13. So if we can get there, I'll be happy. But just control the game and be in firm control throughout this game, especially without some of the Cavs guys, and do a much better job of keeping Jared Allen and Evan Mobley out of the paint and dominate the glass a little more than they did in this last one.
For sure. We appreciate everybody's comments on the live Locked On Pistons squad show. Khahil doing a great job on Locked On Pistons. Love tuning into that. Lindsey, appreciate all of the insight and the stories and the perspective that you bring to the show. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun getting this show going. What was this? Is this just show number 3 for us? I'm losing my mind. Number
Yep,
three. All
number
right.
three.
All right. There we go. I mean, feels like we've been together for the entire season, right?
Right.
But Pistons, Cavs tonight, and then we will be back with you on Thursday for another live show. We'll preview. We will react to what happens tonight, and then preview Pistons Spurs. So, for the two-time NBA champion Lindsey Hunter and the host of Locked On Pistons, Khahil, my name is Jake Riepma. Make sure you check out the Everydayer Club. Make sure you like today's video, subscribe as well, and we will see you next time on the live Locked On Pistons Squad Show right here on the Locked On Pistons and the Locked On Podcast Network.